How's it? Today is Wednesday, October 19th. It's been a very long day. Normally, I start work on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 8 o'clock. Today, I started at 7. I did not sleep very well last night, so it's just been a struggle everywhere. This is the reason why there are people still at the gym when I arrived because I'm essentially an hour earlier than I normally am. Um, Working up to 3 kilos heavier than what I did last week. So, not looking at too many increases for everything. I think going into today, I was confident that I would be able to do all the back squats for sure. Power cleans, or it's like how would I score on that test? I probably confidently I would get a B. For my overhead presses, ooh, I don't know, man. That shit is heavy. I think I was not sure if I would have been able to do even one set of 5 at 64. Last week 61 was so hard, and this week was 64 was even harder. But somehow I managed to make them all. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Um, I included the first set and also the last set on those, so we'll see what happens. You can see the difference in speed and positioning and overall like RPE. I think one thing about these squats is that I probably could have had a slower eccentric for the first rep. Some of them are not even really an eccentric, like this one. That looks like just a regular speed. But when you look at the speed between the last two reps versus the first rep, it's like, yeah, it is a little bit slower, but I could be, that's a little bit better of a slower tempo. But yeah, last set here, 1 plus 9. I think for my overhead press, I do not believe I'll be able to do 67 next week. Like, I'm telling you that right now. Um, just given how difficult 64 was, I don't even know if I'll be able to do 64 again, like redo it. But we'll see what happens. I'll talk with Steve before I go in on Wednesday next week. I think overall, like my positioning for my back squats has improved quite a bit. Of course, it's extremely lightweight. Like looking at 114 for essentially triples, right? If you think back to my best single on back squat, it's like 184, whatever 405 is. That's my best single. So that that is a far cry from where I used to be. Um, Power cleans here. For my warm ups here, I'm just trying to maintain like speed. I think that sometimes I end up not being as quick as I could be, and if that happens, then I don't even know how I would end up lifting for a lot of these, because I think I have good technique on some lifts, of course, but a lot of it is reliant on speed. Whereas some people are reliant on height, like lumbering height and whatnot. But like that clean right there, that was really quick. That one as well. And like, um, if I have good positioning from the ground, like those are all pretty solid. If I'm able to kind of point my knuckles down, then everything kind of irons itself out and then it comes together. Um, Here's my first set at 99. Yeah, again, we're looking at triples, right? So first rep is always really good. Not too bad there for that second one. But like if I'm just going for singles, right, I think I would start to struggle around 115, 120-ish. But going for triples here, obviously I'm struggling with 99 for that last rep. Like overall, I'm getting pretty good extension. I'm getting pretty good positioning for that first rep, and then of course everything as fatigue starts to build, everything gets a little bit more difficult. I think I'm not as not using as much leg drive on these here, like the ones that are not the first reps. So yeah, um, pretty challenging. I actually only intended to do 3 sets, but this set I think was the worst of the first 3 sets that I did. In spite of that probably being the best clean so far. Yeah, not sure what's going on here. I think my upper back issue that I've been dealing with for forever is honestly starting to improve. It's not as it's not as present on every single rep. I think that is a function of some extra stretching and whatnot. And then this is the best set I think overall. But extra stretching with that like open book to kind of um, get more thoracic extension, more thoracic like twisting. I don't know. Actually, don't know what it's called. Rotation, but like just through my upper back, my thoracic spine, of course. The open book does help. I do like a standing open book. I think if I do, oh, that last rep was hard. I think if I do quadruped open book, which is basically on my knees and then my hands, I think that would be a little bit better because I don't have the option, or I guess I don't have the leeway, the freedom of a joint to rotate. So essentially, if I rotate through my upper back, sometimes it's what's going to happen is my lower back is going to overcompensate for that as far as stretching goes. And then if I'm on my feet, rotating through my upper back and then that kind of carrying down through my hips will force my knees to follow. And if my knees follow, then my hips definitely do move. Whereas I'm just trying to get the flexibility through my upper back. That's the main goal, right? Um, yeah. Sorry, I kind of dove into a rabbit hole about how I'm thinking about my upper back issue here. It is improving though. That's an important part. After my power cleans, do clean pulls here, 5 triples. This is actually a lot harder than I would imagine it to be. I think this is just 10 kilos up from where I was. A lot of these, I feel my hip, like my left hip, where the femoral head kind of goes into my hip socket. I feel it kind of creaky, or like achy. It's usually not there, but sometimes it is there. Like I'm not sure if I've ever mentioned it before, but today it was definitely present, and that is not something that I find pleasant. So as I get into my like third rep for each set, it's starting to the fatigue is starting to wear on my muscles, and then I'm starting to not be able to produce as much power, and then of course my hips are a little bit more difficult to get into that hole. With all that said, I moved into my overhead press afterwards. Again, the thing that I was dreading for essentially a whole week, because last week 61 was just woo. So here is my last warm up here at 60. I decided to put my belt on. Last week I did not use my belt, I believe. And then here's my first set of 5 at 64. Yeah, so 64 is like 141-ish. And then 64 is about like 79, 80% or something like that of my best single. So I'm doing 5 5s here. That's just the first set. You saw that look in my eye. Now here's my last set. Like, I I was just getting my ass kicked this whole time, and I really look at how difficult it is. And I've already made it this far. I did 24 reps, so then just I would be so tilted if I missed that last one. But I didn't, and yeah, that's how I feel right now. Woohoo! I guess. And then after that, I did my dips, which these are actually a lot harder than they normally are. of course, because I just did a lot heavier for press. And then my back extensions. Like overall, today was actually pretty good. Like I didn't miss any lifts really. I had some borderline power cleans, but I think that's to be expected. I feel like I could increase everything except the front, or sorry, the overhead press next week. So we'll see what happens. Really not looking forward to trying 67. That would be a huge undertaking. But that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Shoots.